Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hear Our Voices. It's your host, Kay Did, and we come here to tell stories, give resources, and change the narrative of homelessness. And today we have a packed agenda, and right now we're still in October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And we love to push out the stories and the resources that in that particular community because honestly, like I said in previous ones with domestic violence, is that domestic violence happens every day. We do, have it open a lot in October. We have a lot of activities and things like that. But the truth is that domestic violence does not only happen in October, right? It happens all year round, and we want to make sure that families and individuals are out of the way of danger, and because they don't deserve to have that thing happening to them. So we're gonna get into what we have to get into for today. But before we get into our person, right, we're gonna be talking about following us on social media. We are trying to grow, guys, and as you saw on YouTube, thank you guys, because now I kind of set it up to a way that is easier for YouTube. So YouTube is getting more videos every week as the podcast comes out, right? So, guys, please follow us. Please subscribe to us and follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us on. I don't say we have Thread. I think that's what's called for Instagram. But if anywhere you see our name here, our voices, and see the icon, that is us. We would love that you follow us. And if you're hearing us on different platforms, we love you to follow us there. And if you love the information we're giving out, please tell your friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, and keep it in your back pocket because God forbid you might need this information for yourself in the future. You'll be able to have it and be able to help yourself or somebody else. So thank you for being an amazing listener. Thank you for sharing our stuff. Thank you for being our friend. And if you have any questions that you want us to answer, you can definitely DM me anytime and I'll answer you as soon as possible because I'm always usually up. So I get all the messages from Instagram instantly. I would say TikTok not as great as, but if you're on Instagram or on Twitter and you would love to, DM me and want to ask me a question about anything, I know the most information about New York City because that's where I live. That's what I do my advocacy for. So that's what I will be putting out there. Also, if you don't know, earlier this year we talked about the Bridge Project and how they give monies to moms. And now they're opening up a different project in New York City. The same concept, giving moms who are pregnant money, but now they have a certain population because it's a pilot program. They're looking for 161 moms, and you have to be housing insecure and or DV to qualify for those particular services. So please check that out. I'm going to put down the link down below so you can have it. And yes, if you want to talk to me personally without just going through the thing, my information is also down below. Everything will be in the link tree. The DV stuff won't be in the link tree, but it'll just be like a regular link. But everything else will be in the link tree. We also have a resource packet. So if you need any resources to help you and your family out or individuals out, a lot of the organizations we have down below, they do help individuals as well. And if you are an individual just listening and you're not a family, if you DM me, I can still give you resources for certain things too, because you deserve some help. You deserve to be able to come out the situation that you are in to have a better life. And if nobody has your back, I have your back. Okay. So thank you for coming on. Our guest today is Michelle, and she's going to tell you a little bit about herself. She actually is a person from New Destiny. So I want to tell you a little bit about her journey with New Destiny and how she came about working with them. Michelle?
Yeah, I am a survivor of domestic violence, and I have been in the shelter for 3 years
Okay.
in 4 different shelters. And to be honest, it was tough. It was hard and and stuff because I didn't had any I didn't had anything. I didn't had any documents, no papers, nothing at all I had. So it was really hard for people to really help me and stuff. Um,
So if you don't know, documented means that she's undocumented, that she doesn't have a green card or a visa to do certain things in this country. If you don't know, they have different visas, J1, F1, you have residency, green card kind of thing. So, and if you're a regular, she's born here, you're already a citizen. Some countries do citizenships differently. For America, when you're born here, you're a citizen kind of thing. And also if you're born, I think military spouse in a different country, you're automatically a US citizen, I believe too. I could be wrong. The laws change all the time. So I could be totally wrong about that right now, but at one point, that's how they had it. So, can you tell me a little bit about the work that you do with New Destiny?
I I share my story. I share my story with different reporters, different news reporters, and different engagement outreach and whatnot.
Right.
Um, to me, I find it very interesting. I have learned a lot while I have been with them and whatnot, and it also gives me the encouragement also to continue.
Got it. So, initially, how did you end up in America before you became with this DV situation?
How I end up in the US.
Yes.
My son's father said that he would have brought us here
Right.
for us to get married.
Right.
And to that is how I end up here. He brought us here with the intentions of with given me the intentions of we would have gotten married and whatnot,
Right.
which never really took place because he never showed up for the wedding.
Wow. Wow. That's kind of that's kind of horrible to be honest, for a person to do that to you. So, when did you know or realize you were in a domestic violence relationship?
I only realized that I was being abused when I actually went and seek legal advice.
Oh, got it.
Before I was before I was scared, I was uncomfortable and everything, but I was walking on edge and those things, but I never used to tell myself that I was actually being abused.
Right.
So it's only until I went and seek legal advice is when I was told that I was being abused, and then sitting down and thinking about what it is I was told,
Right.
I end up telling myself that the attorney is correct.
So, I want to make sure if a person's listening, right, and they would like you and who don't understand what kind of abuse was is doing to them. Can you explain or give some examples of what those abuses are so people can look out for them in their own lives?
It makes you, well, with me, I was feeling uncomfortable. I was walking on edge because I was like, I used to tell myself that probably if I do things probably differently the next day, probably think they would not have be upset or anything at all. Basically, everything was just based on what it is he wants and what he says and whatnot. I could not have actually do the things that I like it to do, go where I wanted to go and stuff like that. Everything was just a problem.
From what you're saying, it seems like he's very controlling and that you weren't able to be your own self, you know? If you wanted to do something, you have to, it seems like he want you to ask him or it's only what he wants kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. And you said you had kids, right?
Yeah, I have a son.
You had a son. And was your son, how old was your son at the time when it was happening?
Oh,
For, do you think your son realized it's happening around it? Because kids are they're very smart. We think they're not as smart, but they're very smart of what's happening around them. Do you think he realized a little bit of what's happening?
yes, I tell myself that, but I tell myself that because he witnessed it
Right,
and whatnot. But I used to tell people that he did not witness everything that took place.
right,
But from what it is his therapist had mentioned to me is that he did witness everything and whatnot. So there are things that I tell myself that he probably don't know and stuff.
right.
He basically knows about it
Wow.
because his father did actually everything in front of him.
Got it. So just be careful, guys, when you have children. They see a lot more than we expect them to see. And sometimes we forget that they're there because they're so small or so young. We like, they didn't see that. They don't understand what's happening, but they do. And we have to be the people to, watch over our kids the best that we can. And I'm happy that you got out of the situation. Some people don't get the chance to do that. So what was the last straw for you that you got to get help?
It's when I was referred to the Family Justice Center,
Okay.
and I was referred to my case manager, my second case manager that I had at the Family Justice Center.
Mm-hmm.
She is the person that actually helped me. She went above and beyond to make sure that both me and my son were safe and everything. She helped me with pertaining to housing, where she referred me to the Destiny Housing. And that is how I was referred to a housing navigator at New Destiny that also did the same thing in the sense of going above and beyond to make sure that me and my son was able to get out of the shelter and into our own place.
That sounds good. So it seems like you have a lot of praises for the Family Justice Center and New Destiny. They help, if you don't know what New Destiny is, they help with um, domestic violence with people, not just women or, people with children, with all people. And I know that is a shortage, to be honest, with people who are single to get beds and stuff in New York City. They're trying to create some laws and some policies to kind of help that out because if you don't know, the biggest population right now in New York City is people with children, but compared to the adults, it seems like because they don't have as much space, their population also is going up for domestic violence. So
Yeah.
they help with those kind of things. The Family Justice Center, as we call it FJC, they also seem like they helped you a lot and they gave you things that you need, tools that you need to help you get out of the situation you're in. And some people, if you don't know, if you're with a person and you don't have like a green card or something like that, some people think that, they can't get the paperwork that they need, like a green card or working papers and things like that, because they're undocumented. The truth is that most times I feel like the person sometimes know, or they use it over your head to kind of keep you lower because they're saying, oh, if you don't have me, you can't get this stuff. But the truth is, because they are doing these things against you, you are able to get your documentation still because they're trying to, strong arm you and things like that. So don't feel away if you're hearing this and you're undocumented, right? You have to know that there are people out here, organizations out here that can help you get your stuff. Family Justice Center is like they have legal stuff there, as she told you before, and that they can help you get information on what you can do and seek asylum or seek whatever you need to seek to get what you have to get for your paperwork. So don't be discouraged that this person is putting this over your head. Like he promised marriage to her and he didn't give it to her. That's really horrible. Like that's a sign of abuse, right? And don't make him people promise you and say, I'm gonna do this for you. And every time you do something wrong in their eyes, they're saying, I'm not gonna give it to you anymore. That's a sign of abuse. And you shouldn't take that. So please know that there's people out here that can help you who are lawyers. The lawyer system right now is honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's very slow because of everything happening in New York City with the migrants. I feel like a lot of lawyers in that way, but legal aid is still here to help. It might be kind of slow, and they do have a high turnover rate, but they still are doing amazing work with the with legal aid and other lawyers in New York City to make sure that people who are undocumented have a voice and don't feel like they're voiceless. So just be aware of those things. Yes. So when you say you was in shelter for 3 years, you was in three different shelters, right? No, four different shelters, right?
Yeah,
Um, were they all with New Destiny or were they all somewhere else? How did that work?
they were they were not with New Destiny.
Okay,
Um, I believe it was with DHS and HRA.
got it. That sounds correct. That's usually how it is with DV. Yes,
Yeah, it was with between the four different shelters. I think two of them was with HRA and two of them it was with DHS.
got it. And when you left, I assume that your son was 8 years old. I would assume 8 or 9.
Yeah,
How was the impact on him and his life by the time he got out of shelter?
it impacted him in the sense there was sort of like with his attitude and stuff,
Right,
there has been a little change in his attitude and whatnot, where the triggers and stuff are still there, but it's not like before
right,
and those things. It also impacted his education. The reason why I'm saying that it also impacted his education is because being transferred to four different shelters and also so with the constant moving, and it was the same thing with his education. The teachers were not staying. He may
mm,
have a teacher for 2 months, and then that teacher may left, would leave, and then somebody else may come and stay 4 months and whatnot. So disability pertaining to with housing and with his education, that play an important part with me because I just always say that children need stability
right,
and whatnot. Um, and that is one of the reasons why when I move out of the shelter, I take them out of the school. The
got
school that he attends to right now,
right,
it is much better when it comes to stability and whatnot. The pertaining to his social emotional needs and whatnot, they support the children with where that is concerned and
right,
whatnot compared to the school that he was attending before.
got it. Did
So
he get
yeah,
yeah? Did he get any resources in school while he was homeless, or did they not know that he was in the shelter?
Yeah, they know that he was in the shelter.
Did they
They
give,
have
yeah.
they know that.
Did they give him any help that he might need for the shelter or no?
No,
Okay. And that's one thing, guys. If you're listening, I've done a couple of interviews so far with Jennifer Pringle. She worked with child advocates and she tried to explain the resources that kids get in school, right? When you are in a shelter, no matter, honestly, I feel like it's no matter which one, but I feel like DHS shelters are usually supposed to be doing this the most, because they're, I feel like, more connected with the city. The HRA ones also are connected with the city. So I don't know. The problem that some shelters do drop the ball, and I'm sorry for that. I'm not should we say sorry because it's not my job. But the point is that when you are in shelter and you need certain things, especially transportation, I feel like it's mostly related. And if you need like you need different things that people who are not in shelter. And the shelter's supposed to provide that for you. A lot of times they are not providing it for you. But if you want to come on here and look for, I want to say advocates, I forgot the exact title. I'm gonna have to look it up. I have a lot of podcasts, but we talked about how you can get these different tutoring and things like that. Some of those things are obviously not shelter related, but just to make sure your child is staying with the proper equipment for school and things like that, because it's a lot of things, and kids need those things and tools to be able to be successful. And without those tools, they're not gonna be successful. So I just want to keep that in mind. So yeah, that's definitely a thing. I feel like in this episode, I did not talk about domestic violence as much as like what things you can be looking for when you're in a domestic violence relationship, because I just want to make sure that people understand what it actually is about and who can affect. It can affect everybody. It can affect any person, man, woman, child. It affects everyone, especially if it's in a
even
family.
animals.
Yes. It can affect anyone in the family. And the sad thing about it, dude, as she said before, people can't even use your animals against you by hurting them. Some people, I've heard stories about them hurting the animals because they want to get to you and they hurt. It's a whole thing. So people are just so disconnected from reality that they just do crazy things, right? There's obviously, I feel like the one was the most popular and common people look for. And like, yes, they could point that out. They could see what domestic violence is in that. If they're being honest, is violence. Actually like hitting and hurting another person. But domestic violence comes in different other ways. It comes in name calling. Somebody could spit on you. I think people don't take spitting as seriously as it should, but it is. If somebody's bodily fluids on you, what does not deserve to be there. It can be a mental abuse. It can be financial abuse, making you work and then taking the money, or they're saying only I can work and I give you what I want to give you, kind of allowance thing. It's one thing if you agree on it because you know you're not bad, but you're knowing you're not good with money, so you want the person to hang on to it, but you should be able to have your money at all times. If you're a stay-at-home mom, that money should be for both of you guys because he's working and you're stay at home. It should be a team effort, even though you're not outside, you're inside doing work, and that is commendable. Because honestly, I honestly couldn't do it. And it is hard to just be a stay-at-home mom with all those kids and things like that. So just be careful of those things and document things because I feel like in different states, depending where you live, they want more documentation. New York City, I feel depends what system you actually go into, they want more. Some don't want as much, they'll just take your word for it and kind of boom, kind of thing. Just be very aware of that. If you're in a situation you feel like you can't flee or just have your special documents at the side somewhere packed away. And when you feel like you have enough courage to do so, take yourself and take your things and go. I say important things like ID, spare cash, have an account they don't know about. Don't make that mail come to the house, make it go somewhere else, kind of thing. So that you are helped out on the back end, kind of thing. And just do everything as safe as you can. A lot of people are in the situations, they don't come out with their lives. And I want to make sure that whoever's listening to me comes out with their life because you are important and you matter. And without you, the world can't, it'll go around, but it's not going to go around as good because your influence is not in it? So just be careful, be mindful, and know that it's not, I think only adults go through these things, that teenagers are going through these things as well. be very aware of that. We had Shamara from Sisters in Purple, and how her abuse actually started when she was a teen, and then she ended up going with an adult with it for 17 years. So watch who your kids are hanging out with, who they're talking to. I know you want to be the cool mom and this kind of person, but look who your daughter's talking to. Look who your son is talking to, because they can end up in being that person's life 17, 18, 19 years, and they're fighting to get out of it and they can't. So just be very aware of who your children are around. And that's important, I promise you. Because you don't want to see on the news one day, getting up to see your child's face on the news because you lost all the signs. You didn't see it. Um, Look what kind of marks on his face. You'd be surprised. I listened to this young lady. She said she had a mark on her face, and it was several marks actually. And she'll tell her parents something happened in school. Every day, like every other day, is something happening in school. You're coming home with marks. Look at those things. Look at the signs, because you don't want to miss something and regret what happens to your child. So just be very aware of those things. But do you have any last words for the viewers, for the listeners?
Domestic violence is real and it is out there. We all have to be careful and if it is being done to us, get the help that we need. Do not be ashamed, do not be afraid, because there is help out there is support out there and whatnot. You just have to be able to go out there and be able to seek the help and the support and whatnot that you need. Even if you know somebody that is in it, you may not be in it, but you may know somebody that is going through it and whatnot. You still try to at least help that person before it gets too late.
That's so true. So guys, again, thank you for coming and listening or watching Her Voices. Well, mostly listening, to be honest. And all the resources that you might need for domestic violence will be down below. It'll be either the link tree, and some of the resources will be outside the link tree. Especially do that if you're pregnant, the bridge program, so you can get some money. 'Cause I notice a lot of times when people are in that position, they cannot get money and they cannot work. Certain things happen, and having this stream of income coming in will be helpful for you to get an apartment and be back on your feet. Or just get deodorant, underwear, like things you might need because you fled, you don't have those things. And now this could be the opportunity that you get it. Obviously, everybody who applies is not going to guarantee a spot, but they do have different programs in the shelter that do give out money. So you'd be very surprised. A lot of cash transfer programs right now in the shelter. So if you do want to go in and get those things, obviously it's not guaranteed, but you just never know what shelter you're going to end up in or a different situation you're going to end up in, and you might get a cash transfer program. So definitely check us out. After this, I want to say, after this episode, if you don't know, we're going to have a new posting schedule. So after this episode for this month, it'll be 2 weeks after. So this one, I made sure that every Saturday/Sunday, technically our posting days is Saturday for right now, is filled up with domestic violence awareness stuff. But after this week, it'll be every Tuesday that we're going to be giving out content and making sure that the content is up to par and standards, that we're trying to grow and be better. And also, if you want to be a person to be a part of the podcast, we'd love to have you on. Definitely DM us and we can have you on here anytime. If you're a person who just wants to give us resources, we'd love to have that too. We can add it to our resource packet. We only do resources for New York City, but we do stories from anywhere in the US at the moment. Thank you for coming on, Michelle. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you to the Destiny for being there for survivors. And thank you for the FJCs in New York City that's helping to change people's lives. We really appreciate you, and you are amazing. And talk to you next time, and be safe. Bye.